They tried to silence him. They erased his name. But he rebuilt from nothing. He fought every algorithm. They tried again and failed. Now he's back, stronger. From blackout to spotlight, he's at the White House, at the top of his game. Franchi lives.
You are about to enter another dimension, the dimension of truth, unfiltered and uncensored. Welcome to the Raw Feed with Gary Franchi.
Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, coming to you live from the heart of America. Unfiltered truth to millions on YouTube. Hit those donation links below. Every contribution powers our gear. Every contribution keeps the party going. Help me help you. Hit those donation links. YouTube channel memberships. Special acknowledgement in the fellowship. Your super chats keep me standing. Your Rumble rants fuel every round.
Say hello to super chats.
Spread the intel. Every repost extends our reach.
Super chats fuel this spectacle. Your Rumble rants give me strength.
24/7 members-only community, behind-the-scenes discussions.
Connect with fellow patriots.
My mama always said, life is like sharing the truth. Text this stream to your friends.
What if I told you the app is real? Download the Next News Network app. Android users, take the Google Play path. iPhone users, App Store awaits.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Yeah, sorry about the delay. Testing out some new stuff tonight. You know me, I like to experiment with things. And tonight we're going to hope it all holds together. But you know, the globalist establishment is crumbling faster than anyone anticipated. The panic in Washington is absolutely palpable. I'm Gary Franchi, and this is the Raw Feed. Now, February 5th has witnessed some remarkable moments in American political history. On this date in 1937, President Franklin Roosevelt announced his controversial Supreme Court packing plan, attempting to expand the court from 9 to 15 justices after facing constitutional challenges to his New Deal programs. Roosevelt's brazen power grab ultimately failed when Congress and the American people recognized the dangerous precedent of manipulating our highest court for political gain. Sound familiar? Well, today's Democrats could learn something from that history lesson about respecting constitutional boundaries. And speaking of constitutional boundaries, we're witnessing something that's unprecedented. It's happening right now. I'm talking about with Bill and Hillary Clinton. After decades of dodging accountability, sources close to Congress suggest the Clinton power couple may finally face their day of reckoning regarding their connections to Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. Alex Jones is now reporting that the Clintons have essentially surrendered, agreeing to congressional testimony because their traditional protection networks have completely collapsed. The old globalist order that shielded them for so long is finished, and even the Clintons recognize they're politically radioactive. We'll break down what this means for justice and accountability right here in America. Meanwhile, President Trump is pushing hard for the SAVE Act, demanding voter identification and election security measures. In cities, he's specifically calling out for corruption. Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Trump is not mincing words about where the problems lie. Because, you see, the hypocrisy is staggering when you consider that Barack Obama cheerfully showed his ID to vote in 2012, even cracking jokes about his photo, while today's Democrats scream about Jim Crow whenever basic identification requirements are mentioned. Biden himself showed ID during the 2020 midterms, but somehow requiring identification has become racist. We'll expose the double standard and explain why the SAVE Act is crucial for election integrity. There's also significant confusion that's brewing around J.D. Vance's recent comments about Trump bringing in a new world order. Now, before anyone panics, context matters enormously. When globalists use that phrase, they mean open borders, endless foreign wars, and power flowing away from American citizens towards international bureaucrats. When Trump uses those same words, he's describing an America First world. Where we're strong, respected, and putting our people first. Same phrase, completely opposite meanings. We need to understand the distinction because the establishment media will deliberately twist Trump's America First agenda to sound sinister. You see, I like to refer to it as the MAGA world order. And perhaps the administration should take note, because that's exactly what this is. And when you use a term like New World Order, it definitely has a different meaning. But yes, it does make sense, a new world order. But the difference here is that America is at the center. Hence, Mr. Vance, President Trump, guys, come on. MAGA world order. Now, down our border, the security efforts are producing historic results that should make every American proud. The Treasury Secretary absolutely destroying Maxine Waters during congressional testimony, pointing out that adding 10 to 20 million illegal immigrants demanding housing directly caused housing inflation for working Americans. Waters actually told a cabinet secretary to shut up, showing exactly the kind of dignity we've come to expect from her. Secretary Noem is reporting the most secure border in American history. So quiet now that border agents sometimes wonder if their equipment is working properly. The contrast with Biden's chaos could not be clearer. And finally, recovering the largest healthcare fraud investigation in U.S. history, Operation Gold Rush has exposed a $14.6 billion medical scam involving over 300 defendants, including doctors, nurses, and healthcare executives. This massive Medicare fraud operation involved characters with names like Imam Nakamulalev and Syakazov Jokalev, many operating from overseas locations, including Russia and Eastern Europe. 12 of 19 primary defendants are already in custody, with others awaiting extradition. This investigation reveals just how deeply foreign criminals have infiltrated American healthcare systems to steal taxpayer money. Tonight, we're diving deep into each of these stories because they represent something bigger: the complete collapse of the corrupt systems that have been bleeding America dry for decades. From the Clintons finally facing consequences to massive healthcare fraud being exposed, we're witnessing accountability returning to American government. Trump's America First movement, yes, the MAGA world order, not just winning elections, it's dismantling the entire corrupt establishment that sold out our nation. So stay tuned for all the details the mainstream media just won't tell you. This is the Raw Feed, where truth matters more than narrative. Let's welcome you to the show. You-hoo, Gary, what's up? Can't find me. Mrs. Pothead Kenny, Mr. Pothead Kenny. The gang's all here. Vicky, James, Teddy Sheba. Great to see everybody filing in. Yes, I know we were behind schedule today. Julie Loper is a little wasted, apparently. I'm having issues with J.D. Vance, she says. Do you think the Clintons will be punished? Well, it's not really about the Clintons being punished. You see, they're going to testify before Congress. Now, if something comes out of that results in a DOJ referral, I mean, then it gets handed off. We've seen where those go. Generally nowhere. But I don't think that is going to be happening in this case. Hi, Gary from ND, North Dakota. What's up, Debbie? Dave? Quinlin? Ravenwood? Tracy? E. Taylor? Ray Leo? James Sari? Pass the Common Sense Act. The Save America Act. Yes, Jose. Okay, so you may notice a little bit of change here. There's no microphone on my desk. Well, it's kind of over there, but I am wearing a lapel mic tonight, and I have untethered my device with a new device that allows me to interact with the raw feed that you see on every show. So the initial intention of the raw feed was for you to be able to scroll my feed with me. Everyone's on their phones these days, and it's just second nature. But with respect to how we've had it set up in the past, I've had to have it tethered with a cable and leave it on my desk. Really wasn't able to use it as I intended. But this little device here allows me to interact with the feed in real time and read it just like I would be browsing my phone. And that's really, like I said, that's the whole intention. That's why we call it the raw feed. You're hanging out with me. We're scrolling the feed. We're browsing the news together, and we're having fun. So we're going to get into it. Looks like we have some breaking news as well. Okay, we're going to dive deeper into all this. And I guess I can move my coffee mug over now, can't I? Okay, Brian, I'm going to roll over to get this script lined up. And then we're going to begin with our first topic of the evening. And go. The Clinton machine just did something they've never done in decades of political warfare. They surrendered. Hillary and Bill Clinton have agreed to testify publicly about their Jeffrey Epstein connections, and Alex Jones says it's because their globalist protection network has completely collapsed. But wait until you hear what Trump just said about Bill Clinton that really has everybody stunned. See, this is not just another political hearing. This could expose the entire shadow network that's controlled American politics for decades. If the Clintons are truly cut off from their deep state protectors, we're about to witness the most explosive congressional testimony in modern history. Every photo, every flight log, every secret meeting with Epstein could finally see daylight. Of course, you know the photos of Bill hanging out in a jacuzzi, getting massages in airports. Yeah. He's going to be showing those photos. And I can't wait to hear Slick Willie talk his way out of it. But you see, what's really at stake here is Hillary is demanding cameras rolling for everything. She's either supremely confident or desperately trying to control the narrative. Either way, millions of Americans are about to see testimony that could reshape everything we thought we knew about power in Washington. Speaking of America's security being compromised, there's another critical threat that most people don't even know about. Yes, we got some breaking news. On January 5th of this year, the U.S. Department of Energy announced $2.7 billion in contracts to restore domestic uranium enrichment. Now, this is not just government spending, it's a declaration of intent. See, America needs uranium, domestic uranium, and it needs it right now. The U.S. consumes 50 million pounds of uranium annually, but we only produce about 5% domestically. We're dangerously dependent on foreign sources, including Russia and Kazakhstan and China. While Congress investigates corruption scandals, our energy independence hangs in the balance. Smart Americans and smart investors are positioning themselves in uranium mining companies right now. Before these massive government contracts drive prices through the roof, the Department of Energy's announcement confirms what insiders already knew. Uranium is becoming America's most critical strategic resource. This is your chance to profit from America's energy independence movement. Visit the link that is down below for your exclusive briefing. Because while politicians fight over scandals, real Americans are securing their financial future with America's energy boom. Now here's a twist that changes everything. Trump went on the record saying he still likes Bill Clinton and is bothered by people trying to expose him. This is the same Bill Clinton who just appeared in newly released Epstein photos with young girls whose faces are redacted. So why is Trump, who usually attacks his enemies relentlessly, suddenly defending Clinton? What does Trump know that we don't? There's some breaking news just in here. We got this. Bill and Hillary are set to be deposed by James Comer and the Oversight Committee separately on February 26th and 27th. The best part is all of this will be made public. You can get your popcorn.
Clinton have agreed to testify before the House Oversight Committee. This is part of its investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. So the former first couple agreeing to appear under threat of contempt. They've been going back and forth for a couple weeks now. Here's the chairman of that committee, James Comer.
This will be their third date that we've given the Clintons, and 3 strikes and you're out. The votes are there for contempt. I think there are Democrats that will vote to hold him in contempt if the Clintons miss this next date. So we're hopeful that they'll come in.
So now Hillary Clinton will testify on Wednesday, February 26th. The former president appears the next day on the 27th. As of now, we don't think it'll be public, but stay tuned. It could always change, I guess, right? It's the first time lawmakers have compelled a former president to testify.
Grab your popcorn, and this just in as well. Hillary calls for the Epstein congressional hearings to be made public. Hillary's call for public hearings just got complicated. Trump's defense of Bill Clinton creates an awkward split as new Epstein evidence emerges. Drew Hernandez writes, Trump says he still likes Bill and is bothered that people are attempting to expose him. Well, let's listen to the president's own words.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me.
Interesting. With damaging photos now public, House Oversight Chairman Comer pushes back against Hillary's transparency demand, claiming she's changing the rules mid-game. Harry says, talking about Clinton's call for the public hearing after agreeing to a deposition.
Breaking news this morning, Hillary Clinton challenging you, saying, let's do this testimony in public. Her post has gone up, and even though the comments are locked, it's going quite viral.
Of course.
And so I would love to simply ask, will this testimony be in public, Mr. Chairman?
It will be public. We have the video camera, the audio camera, and the transcript. So everyone in America will see that. We always release. I've never done a deposition where we didn't release the transcript and the audio and video if we have that. This is a standard congressional deposition, which is what the Clintons agreed to. And the standard congressional deposition is you are deposed for however long it takes, and it will be recorded, both video, audio, as well as transcripts that will be made public. So it is going to be public.
But it will not be live. So this will not be live streamed.
Well, you know, we hadn't planned on it being live, but I mean, we're seeing the legality of that, and it's never been done before. But look, the Clintons keep moving the goalposts. In her tweet against me, you know, she was completely dishonest in what she says, and we're trying to get all the emails gathered up. We've been negotiating with her attorneys for 6 months now, and they are the ones that move the goalposts. So either Hillary Clinton's being lied to by her attorney, or Hillary Clinton just lied. But either way, the only people that move the goalpost are the Clintons. And here they are again, 48 hours after they agreed to come in for the deposition, trying to move the goalpost again for what I think she means is like a public hearing. And I'll say this, look, this is what Jim Jordan did with Jack Smith. They had a deposition, then Jack Smith said he wanted to go public, and then they had a hearing. I mean, if the Clintons want to do that, they can do that. The subpoena that was voted on by Democrats and Republicans, the contempt charges that was voted on by Democrats and Republicans in the Oversight Committee, was for the Clintons to sit down for a deposition. The video, the audio, the testimony will all be made public. So I don't know why she's trying to say something other than she's trying to muddy the water. It will be public.
Huh. It's because Hillary Clinton wants to perform for the cameras. Comer's pushback just backfired spectacularly. Hillary herself is directly challenging him to a public showdown. Here's the actual tweet. Let's stop the games. If you want this fight, Comer, let's have it in public. You'd love to talk about transparency. There's nothing more transparent than a public hearing. Cameras on. Comer has confirmed that the Clinton depositions will be public, setting up the political event of the decade. Listen.
Agreed to have transcribed, filmed depositions at the end of the month. Here to tell us more, the congressman has been trying to get them to testify for what, years? Congressman James Comer, House Oversight Committee Chair. Congressman Comer, tell us about how this went down, because last week it was they were not coming to testify. They give you the big, stiff arm.
Yeah. Well, they didn't think that any Democrats would support this, but the Democrats on the Oversight Committee met with the victims, the Epstein victims, and they want everybody that's photographed with the victims, anyone that's spent a lot of time with Epstein or Maxwell, they want everyone to answer questions. And unlike President Trump, neither Clinton has ever answered any questions about Epstein. They've never done a sit-down interview. They've never talked about it. And obviously, they didn't want to come in front of the Oversight Committee. We had a markup for contempt when they missed their date that they were supposed to testify. And to their surprise, a majority of Democrats on the Oversight Committee voted with all the Republicans. Then they spent a week trying to intimidate me and say our subpoena wasn't lawful, and then try to get the Democrats back together to not vote for it, to make it a partisan vote, thinking they could beat it in court if it was a partisan vote. And there were several Democrats that were going to vote to hold Bill Clinton in contempt for not showing up for a subpoena. So that's how we got here. They knew they were going to be held in contempt. They knew what Steve Bannon and Navarro had been held in contempt happened to them, and they didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, so it's not a question. It's not a question whether they're going to testify. They are going to testify.
They are testifying.
And for people who don't understand the process here, I assume you would have preferred for this to be public testimony, but I imagine a good lawyer would negotiate this behind closed doors. Was that a deal breaker?
Well, no, it's going to be public because we're going to record it. There'll be an audio, there'll be a video, and there'll be a transcript. So every American's going to be able to watch the entirety of this.
But didn't they offer to do it in public?
Yeah,
they
said they would do it. They said they would do it. Well, they want a hearing.
Then why not do it?
Well, they want a hearing, Laura. And anyone who's ever watched a congressional hearing where you go 5 minutes Republican, 5 minutes Democrat, Democrats and Republicans are yelling, a substantive interview will be conducted through deposition. If they want, after the depositions, to come back for a public hearing, then my members on the Oversight Committee would love to have the Clintons in a hearing. But the subpoena and the contempt was about them blowing off a deposition. And we're going to have each Clinton in for a day-long deposition. Then after that, if they want to have a hearing, Laura, they are more than welcome to testify for the House Oversight Committee.
I'll be in the front row. Congressman, thank you. Great to see you.
Yeah, the tickets are going to sell out fast for that one. But according to Alex Jones, this public spectacle makes the masks a deeper reality. The Clintons may be testifying because they have no choice left. Here is Alex with Benny.
With Clinton here, I've never seen anything like it, with the Clintons actually saying, okay, well, actually, we give up. We surrender. I was not planning on that. I've never seen the Clintons do that in their entire political careers. Hillary Clinton wouldn't give up the election after losing fair and square to Donald Trump, and she tried to have the guy killed. Right? There's no. I just am shocked, Alex, that the Clintons have.
Let's be clear about this. This I can answer your question on definitively. The old globalist order's dead. Davos is dead. The UN's dead. And the Clintons now know all their networks. The Clintons were using Wiener and a laptop for blackmail. That's been confirmed. And so they now know they're cut off. They now know that's all in Trump's possession. And they all know that the system would rather get them on a conviction of contempt of Congress than letting them come testify. So, yeah, this is their Waterloo. I want all the Democrats to know, all the leftists to know, Obama's out of power. That's one faction. Hillary's out of power. The Muslim Brotherhood's out of power. British intelligence is out of power. The Chi-Coms are almost out of power. All these special interests that had their fingers in America trying to bring us down, they're all being extracted. They're all losing. It's like at the end of the first Godfather, where he calls in, his brother-in-law that set up his brother's son to get killed. And he goes, listen, all your buddies are dead. Every single one of them. I just want you to be truthful about what you did. And, they take him for a ride after that.
Yeah.
But with Clemenza. But the point is like, we're at that point now where it's like, listen, all your buddies, Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, China, the EU, Klaus Schwab's gone. They're all gone. And so I want the Democrats running around like chickens with their heads cut off, like zombies still following the old paradigm. You've already lost. Now you can try to overturn the table. That'll make it worse for you. But I want them to know, because I'm not somebody that says positive things when they're not due. This is ours to lose. And if Trump goes on the offense, we win quickly. We turn this around. We have a new golden age. They'll actually won. But we got to have strength right now. So it's done. It's over. They've lost. And they need to realize that and give up.
So James Comer just confirmed these depositions will be broadcast live to millions of Americans. It might be recorded, but doesn't matter. See, Hillary Clinton herself is demanding maximum transparency with the cameras rolling. After decades of stonewalling, the Clintons are walking voluntarily, kicking and screaming, into the biggest political firestorm of their careers. The old guard is crumbling, and we're about to witness history. You see, the Clinton empire, built on secrets and backroom deals, is about to face its final reckoning under the bright lights of public scrutiny. Their globalist protection network has abandoned them. Their blackmail operations have been exposed, and now they're walking into a congressional hearing with nowhere to hide. This is not just about the Clintons, it's about dismantling the entire corrupt system that's controlled America from the shadows. So do you believe this public hearing will finally expose the truth about the Clinton Epstein connection? Let me know in the comments, and while you're thinking about it, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows you're ready to fight for America's future. Brian, are you done wrestling with the bag of chips over there? Yes or no? What are you doing, man? What are you, Frito-Lay, Doritos? What's going on over there? All right. Alex Jones is walking in his prophetic office right now. Isn't that true? All right, let's keep going. I'm going to check in the super chats and see where we stand right now. $10 from James Fay. What's up, James? Kicking us off tonight with our first super chat. Who will be next? Will it be you? We're going to find out. Looks like our Instagram feed is down. Oh, well. Instagram sucks anyway. But everything looks like it's firing on all cylinders so far. And we're going to move into our next page here. I'm gonna actually I'm gonna adjust this. I'm just not used to holding the phone during the segments, so I'm gonna see if I can place it back into my cradle and see how that treats me. At least I don't have a big long cable I have to wrestle with, so this is actually pretty nice. Okay. All right, we're going to move into this. All right. Democrats are absolutely losing their minds over the SAVE Act, legislation that simply requires proof of citizenship to vote. The same party that cheered when Obama showed his ID is now calling basic voter verification Jim Crow 2.0. What are they so afraid of? Well, the answer will shock you. See, it's not just about election security. It's about the future of our republic. When Democrats fight this hard against proving you're a citizen to vote, ask yourself why. We're talking about elections decided by 6 votes, like Iowa's 2020 race. Just 6 fraudulent votes could flip control of Congress. Georgia found 20 non-citizens registered, 9 already voted. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, all places Trump called out for corruption. If you can't buy alcohol without ID, why is requiring ID to choose our president somehow racist? You see, Democrats know illegal voting benefits them, and they're panicking because Trump and Republicans are about to shut it all down. And speaking of America First policies that actually matter for our national security, we have some breaking news. January 5th, 2026 went way under the radar. You see, the U.S. Department of Energy announced $2.7 billion in contracts to restore domestic uranium enrichment capabilities. This is not just government spending, it's a declaration of intent. See, America needs uranium, domestic uranium, and it needs it right now. You see, the U.S. consumes 50 million pounds of uranium annually, but produces less than 5%. We're dangerously dependent on Russia and China, and that's why smart Americans are positioning themselves in uranium stocks before this catastrophic shift creates massive wealth. Atomic Minerals is developing the largest uranium deposit in the United States, 127 million pounds in Wyoming. While Washington finally wakes up to uranium's strategic importance, early investors could see exponential returns. Visit the link in the description for your exclusive briefing to learn how this national security crisis could become your biggest investment opportunity. That's the kind of America First thinking we need. Energy independence and election integrity. But here's what really exposes the Democrat hypocrisy. See, they have footage of Biden himself showing ID to vote in 2022. The same Joe Biden, whose press secretary now claims requiring voter ID is somehow controversial. You see, they're not against voter ID. They're against Republicans winning elections through fair, verified voting. Congressman Randy Fine, this just in, with some breaking news, is alarming, he says, that most developed countries require voter ID, but the United States does not. Requiring voter ID is common sense. Pass the SAVE Act, the Save America Act now. Countries with voter ID. I think we've seen slides like this before, but are all those nations racist? I have to ask the question, right? Because if requiring a ID to vote is racist, then every single one of those nations is racist by the Democrats' own definition. And we have this just in 2 from the president's desk at Truth Social. He had this to say: America's elections are rigged, stolen, and a laughingstock all over the world. Whether they're going to fix them or we won't have a country any longer. I'm asking all Republicans to fight for the following: the Save America Act. All voters must show identification, voter ID identification. All voters must show proof of United States citizenship to register for voting. No mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. The press secretary today had this to say in the briefing room.
The president is suggesting, and I just spoke to him about this, is that Republicans and Democrats in Congress should pass the Save America Act. This piece of legislation is going to ensure that states are abiding by federal election law by removing non-citizens from their voter rolls. In addition, the Save America Act will require voter ID to vote, and it will require proof of citizenship to register to vote. These are very common sense policies and proposals that 89% of our country agree with. So that's what the president is talking about. Again, I just spoke with him about this, and he's calling on both Republicans and Democrats to send the Save America Act, to pass it into law and to send it to his desk as quickly as possible.
Let's make it happen, guys. That's why we're covering it here. The press secretary's statement sets up the administration's full court press for the SAVE Act. Watch how they pivot from policy details to attacking critics who question election interference concerns. Here is the press secretary again.
It's the media who has said that there's Russian interference in American elections. You guys have been saying that for many, many years. So the people
in Fulton County.
Well, the people in this room, considering that you all said for many years that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump, you should all be very happy that we finally have an administration that is looking into that, and we'll be happy to keep you posted.
We'll keep you posted, guys. We're going to stop all the election meddling now. But racist. Now the press secretary is getting defensive about election security oversight. This combative tone is setting up a broader political battle that's spilling into the media coverage. Here she goes.
Do have evidence of, and what the media seems to be undermining, is why Tulsi Gabbard is there in the first place. And I would point you again to federal law that clearly assigns the DNI and the office with the statutory responsibility to lead counter intel matters related to election security. This includes assessing risks to election voting systems, software, voter registration databases, and more, and analyzing foreign interference. And the ODNI is responsible for supporting the White House interagency action to secure our elections through intel analysis and vulnerability assessments. And they should be routinely collaborating with agencies like the DHS, the DOJ, and the FBI. So as for that question, it would be better suited to ask the Director of National Intelligence herself in her office. But what I'm telling you is that it is more than appropriate. In fact, it is Tulsi Gabbard's job to ensure that our elections are safe and secure. And that's exactly what she's been doing on the ground in Georgia. And I don't understand why anyone in this room, considering you're all American citizens, I believe, and like to vote in our nation's elections, should have any problem with that whatsoever.
Smoked. Of course. I mean, it makes perfect sense to put Tulsi in that position. The administration is doubling down on the intelligence community, backing while questioning critics' patriotism. This aggressive messaging is triggering immediate pushback, though, apparently. Let's see.
The president is calling on Republicans, again, and Democrats to pass the SAVE Act. I will reiterate, requirement for voter ID to vote. That should be something that no American should oppose. In fact, we know that the vast majority of Americans support it. Requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote, which is not hard to do. We should be able to do that in this country. If you want to register to vote in the United States of America, you have to be a citizen in the United States of America. And this piece of federal legislation will direct states to remove non-citizens from the voter rolls. I just had a conversation with the president about it.
I'll take it. Remove non-citizens from the voter rolls? Seems like common sense to me. But of course it's racist. Let's keep going. After the policy pitch, we're seeing conservative media. Brianna Lyman. Me, non-citizen voting does happen. Philip, how frequently? Me, if you want, I can list some of it. Let's listen. This looks like, our favorite roundtable over at CNN.
What are we to make of all of this?
Well, I think given that under Joe Biden we had millions of illegal aliens come in, it's definitely fair to be worried that there could be non-citizens voting. We know that non-citizen voting does happen, even if it is rare, according to some on the left.
How frequent is it?
Well, if you want a list of it, I actually have some for you. Hold on one second.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Like actual numbers.
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
Get to page 6 or 7
Or
to
people.
find them.
I know.
I actually wanted to have a lot of quotes for you guys. All right, here we go. So a Georgia audit found 20 non-citizens registered to vote. 9 of them ended up voting in a previous election.
20?
Yeah,
9.
let me finish. In Michigan.
After how many years?
You know, it's funny when you guys mock small amounts, but let's remember that Marionette Miller Meeks won her 2020 election by 6 votes. Imagine if there were 6
Were they
fraudulent
6
votes.
undocumented immigrants?
No,
they weren't.
My point is that some elections are decided quite literally on the margins,
Sure.
and every vote counts.
But not a single presidential election has been decided by a margin
Can I finish my point? Can I finish my point? That doesn't, just because it doesn't impact a presidential election, does not mean that it is not worthy of attention.
What is the percentage of fraudulent non-citizen voting in America?
I don't have the percentage, but I have more examples if you guys wouldn't cut me off. Let me just finish. Exactly.
I don't know if
Hold
it
on a
exists.
second. Hold on a second. 41 non-citizens cast a
maybe
ballot in North
higher
Carolina in
than 1 out of 1
2016.
million.
Okay,
1,500
41.
foreigners registered to vote in California by the state DMV. They were not citizens in 2018.
Oh, did they? And
Did they vote?
were
Did
they
they vote?
caught?
Did they vote?
Actually,
Did they vote?
it doesn't
They're
matter
just
if they-
registered to vote. That doesn't
Registering
mean
to
they
vote as a
vote.
non-citizen is legal.
So-
According
I know,
to
but
18
they
U.S.
didn't
Code,
vote.
Section 1015, subsection F says that anyone who knowingly makes a false statement when
Hold
registering
on,
to
but
vote
here's the
can
thing.
get jail time.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I wanted you to go through it because I think it illustrates in and of itself how actually incredibly rare this is. And even when, the Heritage Foundation went looking for non-citizens voting over the course of, 10 plus years, they found 77 cases, actually more than 10 years, about 24 years. They found 77 instances of non-voters voting, and they went looking, okay? So listen, if this were about people, non-citizens voting, maybe that's the case, then please help me explain why Trump is still obsessed with Georgia, where he was looking for 11,000 votes, where Georgia, they've got voter ID, they've got tough voting laws. Why is he saying that Georgia was a fraudulent state, that he actually won when he did?
Well, we all know what happened in 2020. And this little SAVE Act is designed to fix all that. But, again, racist. The mockery from the panel discussion is fueling Republican counterattacks. Watch how they're using Democrats' own voting behavior to expose what they call hypocrisy. Rare Jim Crow era footage of Joe Biden showing his ID to vote in the 2022 midterm elections.
How you doing? Thank you.
Her first vote.
Nationality, your first name? I'm Natalie. Natalie Biden, now voting. Pretty good. You look better in person.
Yes. Natalie, is that the one you were showering with? I think it is. That Biden voting footage is amplifying larger conservative strategy. They're pulling historical examples to dismantle the Jim Crow narrative around voter ID requirements. In 2012, Brandon Tatum bringing this up, President Obama got asked to show his ID to vote. He pulled it out, cracked a joke about the photo, and complied. No drama, no whining. Now Democrats call basic voter ID Jim Crow 2.0. Same folks who cheer when it's Obama, but cry racism when it's not.
Good to see you, Kelly. All right. Oh, you're right. Hold on a second. I got my driver's license here. Here you go. Now, ignore the fact that there's no gray hair in that picture. It does.
The presidency does something to you.
Did you just look and see? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, big joke, right?
How about that? Thank you.
She's going to get a card for you.
All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You see that? These Obama comparisons are building towards Trump's most explosive claims. This is where rhetoric shifts from defending voter ID to directly attacking the cities and the states. Here is the president talking about some of the most corrupt places in the nation.
say national. I said there are some areas in our country that are extremely corrupt. They have very corrupt elections. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Philadelphia. Take a look at Atlanta. There are some areas that are unbelievably corrupt. I could give you plenty of more, too. I say that we cannot have corrupt elections. If we have to, if they don't straighten it out. As an example, voter ID. Why don't the Democrats want voter ID? You know who does want voter ID? Democrat voters want it, but Democrat politicians don't. Why don't they want it? Because they want to cheat on elections. Can you imagine if I were a politician and they asked me, do you want voter identification? And I said, no. There's no way you could win that debate. But even the Democrats don't want voter ID. If they don't want voter ID, that means they want to cheat. We can't allow cheating in elections. Now, if we need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls, remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election. If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
President Trump knows the game. He's a victim of it. And of course, the United States suffered, but, you know, God had other plans. He really did. And of course, by them stealing 2020, it gave us the runway, gave President Trump the runway to line up his campaign for 2024. And that's what makes it so important. So, here we are. The mask is completely off. Democrats spent years screaming about Russian election interference, demanding we secure our elections. Now Trump proposes actually securing them by verifying citizenship. And suddenly they're against election security. See, they want foreign interference as long as it benefits them. The SAVE Act is not controversial, it's just common sense. Require proof of citizenship to register, show ID to vote. Every honest American supports this because every honest American wants clean elections. The only people opposing voter verification are those who benefit from voter fraud. And President Trump, what's he doing? He's forcing them to show their true colors. And it's beautiful to watch. When Democrats fight this hard against proving citizenship, they're telling you everything that you need to know about how they've been winning elections. Do you think requiring proof of citizenship to vote should be the law in all 50 states? Let me know in the comments and make sure you check out the Next News merch shop. A little late to the party there, Brian. Were you going to refill on your Doritos or what? I don't know. What, you didn't see the script moving? Okay, Brian. Maybe you should open up your mic so they can hear us go back and forth here. Yeah, you should. Put your face on camera, Brian. Put your face on your crimes against the Next News Network. Oh, man. How long have we been working together, Brian? Like 20 years or something? Thanks, Chris, for that $10 there. Second out the gate. And then Ruby dropping, wow, 9? No. How many? How many did he give? 5 memberships. Cool. And then you drop $5 on top of it. How nice of you. ID to vote is just common sense. It really is. Okay, how's the audio, guys? Coming in pretty good? Yeah? Let me see your comments. Let's see. Let's see it. Rag on Brian. Yeah, Brian, get it together, Brian. Come on, Brian. Oh, they love you, Brian. I love you, too. We couldn't do the show without you, brother. All right. And if you want to check, no, you can check later. Anyway. All right, where are we going from here? Let's find out. We got to go to our next topic of the evening. America First versus the Globalist Order. Trump's New World Vision. That's where we're going. We can get the page loaded up for you. See, I call it the MAGA World Order. Okay. Almost there, Brian. The left is having a total meltdown because J.D. Vance mentioned Trump's New World Order plans. They're screaming that Trump is now a globalist sellout, but hold on. This is exactly the kind of word games the establishment uses to confuse you. Same phrase, completely opposite meanings. I'm going to break it down why this changes everything. See, it's not just about terminology, it's about the future of American sovereignty. For decades, globalists like George Soros have pushed their vision of a new world order. One where America gets weakened, our borders disappear, and China takes over. Meanwhile, countries like Spain are literally implementing Orwellian thought police systems right now. But Trump's America First, New World Order, means the exact opposite. American strength, secure borders, and putting our hemisphere first. And of course, the establishment's panicking because they can't hide behind their usual rhetoric anymore. When the same words mean something completely different, you better know which side is which. But you see, that's why I call it the MAGA world order, or the Trump world order. I think it's a nice ring to it. And it clearly defines exactly what that meaning is. So, I know that J.D. Vance is watching right now. Please take note. I know the administration's paying attention. MAGA world order. Write it down. All right? Send it to Susie Wiles, the whole crew over there. But we do need to talk about something like never surrendering to the globalist agenda. Let me tell you about something that is making a statement. You ever see something and instantly know it's going to turn heads? That's exactly what happened when I saw these Trump Never Surrender Gold sneakers from MAGA offers. And I can't wait to get mine in the mail. I am waiting. You see, they're not subtle, and they're not supposed to be. Gold finish, red, white, and blue details, never surrender right on the shoe. You put them on, you're not just wearing footwear, you're making a declaration that you'll never bow to the globalist establishment. While they're trying to confuse us with the word games, we are stepping out in style, showing exactly where we stand. These sneakers represent everything Trump's real MAGA world order is about. American pride, American strength, and never backing down. Get yours today at the link in the description, because real patriots don't hide their convictions. Now here's what's really happening. The globalists are losing control of their own narrative. They've used phrases like New World Order for so long to push their America Last agenda, they can't handle Trump flipping the script. Now, when Trump talks about reshaping the world order with America First principles, they just don't know how to respond. I mean, it's brilliant political jujitsu. We were fed the lie that globalism was benign cooperation. In truth, it was a tool to suppress the very principles our republic was founded upon. A strategy to prevent sovereign industrial strength from taking hold. Listen.
Historian who spent decades in the liberal worldview. I've come to see how much of what I accepted as truth was carefully constructive narrative, especially around globalism. We were told it was progressive, interconnected prosperity, an inevitable march of liberal democratic globalism. That made sense to me. But the reality I've uncovered is far darker. A persistent imperial system rooted in British strategies from the 1900s that has manipulated nations, including our own, to prevent sovereign industrial strength to take hold. Take what's happening right now in Minneapolis. What the media frames as organic outrage over immigration enforcement, communities clashing with authoritarian ICE agents, is actually a textbook color revolution tactic brought home to American soil. Vice President J.D. Vance calls it out plainly. Engineered chaos, unique to Minneapolis, driven by far-left agitators coordinating with local authorities. Look at the key figures. Rachel Sayre, the city's emergency management director. She openly compares the situation to conflict zones she has worked in: Yemen, Haiti, Syria, Iraq. Those aren't random places. They're sites of repeated regime change operations. So why escalate now? Because President Trump's new 2026 national defense strategy just slammed the door on 80 years of US-backed regime change abroad. It's big. No more democracy promotion, no more color revolutions overseas, no more using American power to enforce a post-war global order that keeps nations in perpetual conflict for imperial control. The strategy shifts focus, defend the homeland first, protect the Western Hemisphere, reviving Monroe Doctrine principles. Deter China through strength, not endless confrontation. Rebuild our industrial base as part of a once-in-a-century revival of American manufacturing. and increase burden sharing with real allies. That document, quietly released amid Davos noise where Trump allies shredded globalism as a failure, ended the imperial's primary weapon. When you can't run operations in foreign lands anymore, you pivot inwards. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Notice the sudden obsession with Lord Palmerston. He pioneered using mobs, liberation movements, anarchists, and radicals to destabilize rivals from within, stopping the spread of the American system, strong, sovereign nations built on industrial progress and economic sovereignty. As a former liberal, this realization hits hard. We were fed the lie that globalism was benign cooperation. And in truth, it was a tool to suppress the very principles our republic was founded on. Their new defense strategy proves that we're not playing by their rules anymore. This is the fight for true sovereignty, and understanding the history is how we win it. As historians, we owe it to the truth and to our country to keep exposing these patterns.
Former liberal, seeing the light. This sets up perfectly our next source, who caught globalism's defenders scrambling when confronted with these exact truths at their own summit. Howard Lutnick walked into the lion's den and told the World Economic Forum exactly what they didn't want to hear. Globalism has failed. He dismantled the entire World Economic Forum doctrine in minutes. Offshoring, hollowed out the West, cheap labor, destroyed innovation. Listen.
Okay. We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
Unbelievable insight there. See, this administration is looking in, and they're finding all of the points, the weak points that have destroyed our sovereignty, that we've handed over. Howard Lutnick just laid it out right there in front of all of those globalists. And I love it. I love it. I'm here for it, man. This is exactly what I voted for. Now, here is the bombshell moment at Davos, sparking calls for a complete overhaul of American leadership priorities. It's time for the anti-American leadership to step down. If you aren't willing to put Americans first, you don't deserve a seat at America's table. We need America First leaders. It's time to put America First leadership back into office.
One of the biggest issues in America is we have leaders that do not care about Americans. They care more about illegal immigrants over their own constituents. They care more about their health care. They care more about their welfare. They care more about their housing, and they care more about their success, more about their businesses, and more about their futures than they do their own Americans. And it really starts with these governors of all of these different states. You have Gavin Newsom, you have Tim Walz, you have people like Polis who have prioritized everyone else except for the Americans at which they serve. And what has that got us? How has that benefited us? Well, it hasn't benefited us at all. As a matter of fact, we have lost federal funding. We have lost safety. There's been violence that have been committed by these individuals that come to other countries and they've been let out of prison right away. A matter of fact, a lot of them don't even face prison time. They go to jail and they are released immediately because they do not have a status. What has putting these people in power done for us? Do you realize that a governor is the highest position? It has the most powerful influence in a state. Do you realize that? There is no governor out there that manages less than $4 billion. And if you look at Governor Tim Walz, if you look at Gavin Newsom, if you look at Polis, you realize that these people, over their time of serving, have managed trillions of dollars. Now, let me ask you one thing. Where has that money gone? Because all three of these individuals have a budget deficit. They've lost the money. They've lost your hardworking tax dollars. And what do? They open the floodgates for everyone to come in, and they take care of everyone except their own Americans. This is the problem in America, is that we have leaders that do not care about Americans, and this is what needs to be fixed. We need to have people that come in and say, you know what? I understand that there's other countries that need help, but I'm going to serve the American people first. I'm going to take care of their interests. I'm going to make sure that their health care is solid. I'm going to make sure that they are taken care of. I'm going to make sure that the people who have fallen on hard times have a way to get back up. I'm going to make sure that we stop the flow of drugs. I'm going to make sure that we get rid of everybody who does not belong here. We need real leadership in America, and we have lost that. It is a sad day for America.
Well, thankfully, we do have the Trump administration who is restoring real leadership. The America First movement is moving. Speaker Johnson shares how a renewed focus on collaboration, urgency, and results has helped restore American stability and deliver the American people.
The President and I work closely together because we have unified government. That's what the American people voted for last fall. They gave the Republican Party control of the White House, the Senate, and the House. And the intention there is that you work efficiently and effectively together. So the President and I have conversations sometimes multiple times a day about policy procedures. We have a lot of our discussions and sometimes debates together behind the curtain because you don't want to do that when you're in the same party out in public. That has made a very effective and efficient government. And I will say this, the first year of the Trump administration that we just got through was probably one of the most productive in all the history of Congress. And you can go back, that's what history is going to show. Very productive, very efficient, effective government. We had to reverse all the madness of the 4 years of the Biden administration, and we got so much of it done already and still more yet to do.
I'm looking forward to it. Keep doing it. From policy enforcement, we're seeing this America First doctrine reshape how we approach national security threats in our own backyard. Here is the Secretary of War.
We're going to put America first. In this case, the Americas first, our hemisphere, secure our homeland. But we're not going to sit back and watch the American people be threatened. We're not going to sit back and watch the American people be poisoned, watch people be trafficked, watch violent gangs exist inside our country. That's why you're seeing mass deportations. That's why you're seeing criminality being locked down. That's why our borders locked down. This is an extension of that. This is an understanding of exactly how America should project power. We've projected power for a long time in far-flung places that had a nebulous connection to our own security in the homeland. We're securing the homeland.
Hell yeah. But not everyone's buying into this America First approach. Critics are pushing back hard on these hemispheric security moves. The Trump administration's approach, this is from Foreign Affairs. This is, of course, the Council on Foreign Relations publication. The Trump administration's approach to the Western Hemisphere should prioritize diplomatic engagement and regional capacity building rather than open-ended U.S. military operations. That's Reed Smith argues that point. Of course, the Council on Foreign Relations is part of the globalist cabal. While critics debate diplomatic nuance, other nations are doubling down on the very globalist control systems Trump's team is dismantling. Spain going full 1984. New World Order rearing its ugly head.
Next week, my government will implement the following actions. First, we will change the law in Spain to hold platform executives legally accountable for many infringements taking place on their sites. This means that CEOs of these techno platforms will face criminal liability for failing to remove illegal or hateful content.
So I guess Elon Musk is not going to be allowed to go to Spain. Wow.
We governments need to stop turning a blind eye to the toxic content shared under their watch. Second, we will turn algorithmic manipulation and amplification of illegal content into a new criminal offense. Disinformation doesn't appear by itself. It is created, promoted, and spread by certain actors. We will go after them as well as after the platforms whose algorithms amplify the disinformation for profit. No more hiding behind code. No more pretending that technology is neutral. Third, we will implement a hate and polarization footprint, a system to track, quantify, and expose how digital platforms fuel division and amplified hate. For too long, hate has been treated as invisible and untraceable. But we will change that, developing a tool that will provide the basis for undertaking future penalties. Because spreading hate must come at a cost. A legal cost, of course, a financial cost, and a moral cost that platforms can no longer afford to ignore. Fourth, Spain will ban access to social media for minors under the age of 16. Platforms will be required to implement effective age verification systems, not just
Okay, so Spain going full Orwell. No such thing as the First Amendment there. Clash report, the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. Starting next week, my government will implement the following actions. First, we'll change the law in Spain to hold platform executives legally accountable for many infringements taking place. We'll turn algorithmic manipulation and amplification of illegal content as a new criminal offense. Yeah, that's terrifying. It makes you wonder, how they're arresting people in the UK for Facebook posts. I guess that's going to start happening in Spain now. What happens when you land, you go on vacation, and you may have posted something that, may infringe upon the law of Spain or the UK. And they have this record, this database of it now. Does that mean Americans are going to get snatched up at airports because we have free speech? But, the British lords don't like what we posted? Or the Spaniards are offended? I mean, what is this world coming to? This is where it gets interesting. Supporters are reframing the entire New World Order narrative to distinguish Trump's vision from the globalist version. You see, again, guys, Sherry Unfiltered, listen. It's called the MAGA World Order. Let's get it straight here. And guys, when you're posting online, refer to it as the MAGA World Order. Let's just get it out there. I mean, I can only shout so much into this microphone, into this camera, on this channel. We got to make it real. Okay? Hold the fire, she says. This is a play on words, so let's chill and talk context. When globalists say New World Order, they mean open borders, endless wars, and power flowing away from the American people. When Trump says it, he's talking about an America first, world strong. Same words, opposite agendas. Globalist New World Order, America last. America first, New World Order, America first. This historical context from 2009 proves the stark differences between managed American decline versus Trump's promised American resurgence. In 2009, George Soros told World Economic Forum young global leader Chrystia Freeland about the need to create a new world order owned by China, insisting that a managed decline of the U.S. dollar was not only necessary but actually desirable.
What sort of a financial deal should Obama be seeking to strike when he travels to China next month?
No, I think this would be the time, because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order. financial world order. So I think you need a new world order that China has to be part of the process of creating it, and they have to buy in, they have to own it. And I think this would be a more stable one where you would have a coordinated policies.
Given this continued weakness in the U.S. economy, are people right to start to be concerned about the dollar?
An orderly decline of the dollar is actually desirable. A decline in the value of the dollar is necessary in order to compensate for the fact that the U.S. economy will remain rather weak. China will emerge as the motor replacing the U.S. consumer. So there would be a slow decline in the value of the dollar, a managed decline.
You heard it from the horse's mouth right there. And here's the kicker. Even Trump's vice president openly embracing the New World Order terminology, signaling this is not campaign rhetoric. J.D. Vance has now officially stated that Trump's plan is to bring in the New World Order.
Yeah. And there's a real question about whether there's a massive shift happening now in terms of world alliances long term.
Well, it's definitely, I think, a new world order. I think the president has sought to it. There's a new world order in trade. There's a new world order in globalization and the way that we invest in our economy versus, foreign supply chains. There's a new world order, and the president is willing to shake up some old alliance structures. I mean, NATO, I think, is much different because of the president's leadership than it was 10 years ago. It was sort of coasting. It was effectively a protectorate of the United States of America. Obviously, you saw what happened in Venezuela. So, yeah, the president is putting a stamp on world history, but fundamentally in an America First way.
In an America First way. MAGA world order, folks. This is the moment when everything becomes crystal clear. The establishment isn't mad about the phrase New World Order. They're terrified that Trump is actually going to deliver one that puts America first. Their version meant managed decline and Chinese dominance. Trump's version means American renaissance and hemispheric security. The mask is finally off. For years, globalists have talked about their New World Order while pretending to be patriots. And now Trump is building his own version, where one America leads from strength, not weakness, where our hemisphere comes first, not last, where American workers matter more than global elites. The same words, but the complete opposite vision for our future. See, my friends, this is not surrendering to globalism. This is about replacing their failed system with American leadership. And of course, the establishment's panicking because they know Trump's vision actually works. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to support Trump's America First New World Order, the MAGA world order, over the globalist version that's been failing us for decades? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows where you stand. MAGA world order, guys. That's the hashtag. Ruby Hoove is the last person to donate in the Super Chat world. Thank you for that. We appreciate you. And Brian, you're good there. You did a good job there, Brian. I want to say, you get the gold star today. We'll put it on the wall in the break room. Do we even have a break room? Okay. All right. We got to get some more news at it here. And DJT loves the MAGA world order. MAGA strong. Yeah, baby. Are you guys with me on this, though? XRP is the Phoenix. What? BTC. Whoa, Truthy Ruthie. Holy cow. Whoa, baby. Holy moly. $50. God bless you. Amen. And you didn't even write a comment. You could have written something. And that just shows she loves us that much. Because it's not about what she's saying, it's about what we're saying. Thank you, Truthy Ruthie. Thank you so much. Okay. We got to talk about what happened in the briefing room today. Maxine Waters just told Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to shut up during a heated congressional hearing about immigration. What happened next exposed the Democrats' most embarrassing failure yet. Waters got completely destroyed, and the footage is going viral across social media platforms. We're going to show it to you. See, this is not just another political spat in Washington. This is about your family's financial survival. When Democrats flooded America with 10 to 20 million illegal immigrants, they drove up housing costs for working families nationwide. Your rent went up, your mortgage payments increased, your children can't afford their first home because of Democrat policies. Meanwhile, Secretary Noem is delivering the most secure border in American history. But the mainstream media refuses to cover this massive victory. They'd rather focus on chaos than showcase Trump's incredible success at the border. And speaking of national security victories, there's some breaking news that you do need to know about America's energy independence. It happened on January 5th, 2026, completely under the radar. The U.S. Department of Energy announced $2.7 billion in contracts to restore domestic uranium enrichment capabilities. This is not just government spending, it's a declaration of intent. See, America needs uranium, domestic uranium, and it needs it right now. You see, the U.S. consumes over 50 million pounds of uranium annually, but we're producing less than 5% domestically. That is a national security crisis that is waiting to happen. China controls global uranium processing. Russia dominates enrichment. But companies like Atomic Minerals are changing that equation. They're not just mining uranium, they're positioning America for energy dominance in the nuclear age. So while politicians talk, Atomic Minerals delivers results. Their Wyoming projects could supply critical uranium for America's nuclear fleet. This is your chance to invest in American energy independence before Wall Street catches on. Learn more at the exclusive briefing that's been prepared for you at the link in the description. Now back to this border security triumph. Yes, here's what the media won't tell you about this congressional showdown. Waters didn't just embarrass herself like she does. She exposed the entire Democrat strategy. They know their open border policies caused the housing crisis. They know millions of Americans are struggling because of their failures. CBP Commissioner Rodney Scott confirmed we now have the most secure border in our nation's history. But of course, Democrats are furious about this success because we're locking out all their voters. Let's check in with the press secretary earlier today.
Illegal aliens were released into our homeland over the past 9 months. This is a truly remarkable achievement. Again, 0 illegal aliens released into the country in 9 months. This is staggering, and it deserves more attention from all of you. Overall, Customs and Border Protection recorded the lowest total encounters in agency history. Daily encounters have fallen by 95%. Averaging just 250 apprehensions at the southern border a day. This is compared to over 5,100 daily apprehensions during the Biden years. It's a night and day difference because we finally have a president who enforces the law and lets our law enforcement do their noble jobs of protecting our homeland. When President Trump campaigned on making America safe again, this is exactly what he meant, and the numbers and the results speak for themselves.
They speak for themselves. The zero release claims set up the administration's broader strategy of using public support to justify the enforcement approach. Here she is. Nearly 8 in 10 Americans say illegal aliens should be deported.
Desperate recent attempts by Democrats and those in the media to undermine the president's deportation agenda. These efforts are failing. Brand new Harvard-Harris polling shows overwhelming support for President Trump's efforts to protect law-abiding citizens from criminal illegal aliens. Nearly 8 in 10 Americans say criminal illegal aliens should be deported. A solid majority also support deporting all illegal aliens, regardless of additional crimes. And more than 2 in 3 Americans back the Trump administration's common sense requirement that state and local officials cooperate with federal authorities and work to hand over criminal illegal aliens in local jails for swift deportation.
And I can count myself among them. Americans overwhelmingly support deporting criminal illegals in local cooperation with ICE. The polling data directly connects to Trump's negotiating position on government funding and immigration policy priorities. Here's more from the press secretary earlier today.
It has two end goals. One is to obviously keep the government funded and open, and that includes the Department of Homeland Security, which does not just touch upon ICE and Border Patrol, but also FEMA, the United States Coast Guard, the United States Secret Service. These are brave public servants who work to protect our homeland. The president wants these individuals to get paid. Secondly, when it comes to any discussions about immigration policy, the president is never going to waver in his commitment to allow immigration enforcement efforts in this country and to support ICE and Border Patrol and the deportation of illegal alien criminals. I know Senator Schumer and Leader Jeffries sent over a very long list of demands, some of which the administration is willing to discuss. Others don't seem like they are grounded in any common sense, and they are non-starters for this administration. But we're not going to negotiate policy from the podium. I'm going to allow the president to do that, and any final decisions that are made will be made ultimately by him. But rest assured, he is never going to allow law enforcement in the jobs that they do, the important jobs that they do, to be undermined.
The administration's funding stance becomes urgent when you see the human cost they're highlighting from the previous policies. Here's more from the press secretary today.
Another abhorrent example of the border crisis over the past 4 years, and it again exemplifies why the administration must continue and will always continue to fully back and support ICE and Border Patrol and law enforcement in their removal of illegal alien criminals from our country. For those who don't know, and all of you should report on it, 4 Americans were tragically killed and lost their lives this week yet again from an illegal alien, an individual who was paroled into the country by the Biden administration using the CBP-1 app, which they created like it was a magic pass for Disneyland. That's not how immigration in this country should work. And this illegal alien from Kyrgyzstan was traveling on an Indiana highway, and he failed to brake for a slowed semi-truck in front of him. He swerved into the lane, and he crashed into a van carrying 15 passengers, and 4 people were killed in that crash. This is another tragedy that could have been prevented if not for the wide open borders from the previous administration. That's why we now have a secure border. That's why this administration will continue to deport illegal aliens from our country.
Oh my God. DHS confirms to Fox News that a semi-truck driver arrested for causing a head-on crash in Indiana killed 4 people is a Kyrgyzstani national who entered the U.S. via the Biden administration's CBP-1 cell phone app in 2023 at the Nogales, Arizona port. There he is. CBP-1. The CBP-1 cell phone app. Of course, that app is now completely overhauled. The tragic case exemplifies exactly why Trump demands cooperation. The press secretary is about to detail.
To the president's answer yesterday, the full context of his answer was that he'd like to see a softer touch, but we are always going to remain tough. That softer touch the president is referring to is that cooperation that is necessary between state and local authorities and federal government authorities to ensure that we can continue deporting illegal aliens from our communities without tons of agents having to go after one illegal alien. If the states and the local governments just turn over their illegal aliens to ICE at jails, as they should be doing, it requires one agent to deport that one illegal alien who can then go on their way to their home country in a peaceful manner. The escalation that we've seen take place in Minnesota is a direct result of the refusal of state and local officials to cooperate with the federal government and with ICE, which has led to these hostile and dangerous environments. And so we don't want that. Again, the president wants direct cooperation, and that's what he was referring to.
Of course, we all know what's really going on in Minnesota. The grand distraction from the massive fraud that's taken place. Here's the president discussing the softer touch.
What did you learn? I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch. but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them. And then I see them ranting and raving out there, literally as though a call wasn't made.
The cooperation strategy leads directly to questions about the scale of Trump's deportation commitments. Here's a reporter asking, is the president still committed to deportations of the 20 million illegals that came here under Biden?
The president's still committed to deportations of the 20 million illegals that came here under Joe Biden, or are you starting to see that back?
Yes, and the president has always been committed to that, John. But we must prioritize, and the prioritization is on those tens of thousands of convicted criminals whom we know are still roaming our streets. ICE and Border Patrol and DHS have done a phenomenal job of removing tens of thousands of them. Actually, nearly 1 million people have been deported from our country over the past year, 2 million additional self-deportations. So nearly 3 million people have left the United States. But again, as you pointed out rightfully, Joe Biden and the Democrats allowed approximately 20 million people into our country illegally. So yes, of course, the president is committed to ensuring that America is and always will be a nation of laws.
20 million. Looks like we got 19 more million to go, huh? The reporter's challenge about 20 million deportations gets validated by the NBC acknowledgement of the measurable border success. What do you know? NBC.
Success on immigration, illegal border crossings are at historic lows, right?
You know, it's so nice that you said that.
But if you look at the
Tom, what you just said.
It's true.
No, but it's so nice. I hope you air it. It's so nice what you said, because that's called good reporting. That's called fair reporting.
Wow. Right there in the Oval. President Trump finally getting credit from NBC. The rare praise transitions perfectly to Trump's focus on the most dangerous criminals his team is actively hunting. Here's more from the president's NBC News exclusive from the Oval Office.
Totally focused on criminals, really bad criminals. Now, you could say people that came in illegally are criminals, but I'm talking about murderers from different countries. We have 11,888 murderers that Biden and his group led into our country. We've captured a lot of them. We've brought some of them back. A lot of them we don't want to bring back because we don't trust the country that they're not sent back again.
Yeah.
Despite how strong the borders are, they'll figure a way to try and get in, and we don't want to, and we'll incarcerate them. But 11,888 murders.
Yeah.
We are after those people. We're after the drug dealers.
Right.
We are after, by the way, a big problem. They allowed to come into our country people from their mental institutions, people from insane asylums that are mentally ill and very dangerous. We're getting them out.
Getting them out. God bless America. God bless President Trump. The criminal focus sets up the natural question about whether his border chief can deliver these results. Here's more from that NBC interview.
Do you still believe in Kristi Noem to deliver on your vision of immigration?
Look, she was in charge of the border. The border's closed. I mean, everybody gives me A+ on the border. The border was a disaster. People were pouring into our country.
But what about the
They
enforcement?
don't even try and come up now. You know the beautiful thing? The caravans. I think I came up with that name. Thousands of people, 25, 30,000 people in a group. You know who sent them? Their countries. They sent the people that they didn't want. Not only criminals, people that didn't want to work hard, etc. They know who it is. They sent them into our country. We have nobody coming in anymore. We have very good. You just asked me, Kristi, we have the best crime numbers that we've had in 125 years. I think she's doing a very good job. Again, public relations. She's not getting credit for the job that she does.
Not getting credit, but President Trump gives her credit. His defense of Noem connects his border officials taking media directly to see the transformed border situation.
We came here, though. I want to talk why we're here. At least this is my perception of why we're here. We came down to the border because, unfortunately, the media likes chaos, and they like friction, and they like anything that arguments. They don't necessarily like to go present or show America a secure community. It's boring to them. So coming here today, we're forcing the media to come right to the border and see the most secure border that this country has ever had, because it's important to America that this story doesn't stop at the border. This story touches every American because border security touches every American. So border security, to simplest steps, is just simply knowing and controlling who and what's coming into this country consistent with law. And we talk about how do we get here, I think it's very important that we touch on that. The efforts that every single one of the agents and personnel, military, wherever your background is, that played a huge role, and I'm not discounting that. But I want to highlight from my perspective how we got here. We had a president of the United States that stepped up and said, we're going to put America first. We have a president of the United States that had a vision. We had a president of the United States that spoke with authority. And even before he was inaugurated, as he was building out his team, he sent a very clear message. Border security is national security. It's going to be a priority going forward. And I don't care what the title behind your name is. If you work in the federal government, you're going to support it. And on day one, we took action on that. So those of you that don't know, on day one, we started building a high-performance, low-drag team from every agency that had any nexus with border security and literally started figuring out how to implement the president's strategy. That's how we got here today. And as you've heard from some of the other speakers, no law changed. The big, beautiful bill just started rolling out. It was literally go do your job and, most importantly, I have your back. And for that, I thank the president and I thank the leadership of DHS as well. The president simply understood and still understands that if we can't control, first off, know, and then control who and what enters our country, we have no national security.
Refreshing words there. The commissioner's border tour forms NOM's firsthand assessment from the most secure border in history. Here's the Secretary of DHS.
But most of all, we thank President Trump for the guts and the love of this country to do the right thing, to make sure that when he talked to the American people, he talked about the fact that what we had going on here in this country under the Biden administration was the greatest humanitarian crisis that we had ever seen in our history, and that it needed to be fixed. And the way that you fix it is you just enforce the law, that you go out there and say the laws need to be enforced and they need to be applied equally to every single person. And that Americans come first because they're the people who have built this country, and that they're the ones who are here working jobs and putting their kids through school and doing the right thing to make sure that our freedom and our liberties are secured. So I want to thank him for his leadership, for the fact that he told the American people what we needed. He said we needed a wall, and we have a wall, a big, beautiful wall that President Trump also wanted painted black, so that it would endure for a long period of time, that it would look like the strength and stamina that the American people have, and that it would be something that would continue to protect us for generations to come.
Build a wall. NOM's historical context about the crisis sets up a tribute to the brave agents who transformed this disaster zone.
Degree of talent and experience that we have here today is a testament to not just President Trump's commitment, but also to the people that have secured the border and have also worked every single day to make sure that America is safe again. In President Trump's first year back in office, we've delivered the most secure border in American history. And we did it with the immediate aftermath we were facing from that humanitarian crisis that was created from Joe Biden's open border policies. It is so quiet here now today that sometimes we even forget how bad it was just a little over a year ago. And the importance of the accomplishment that has happened over this last year cannot be forgotten. Hardworking Americans all along this southern border were devastated. They were trying to do their jobs, educate their kids, and protect the future when they were handed this humanitarian crisis and saw the horrors of what was happening when millions of people were crossing our border unvetted, when they were trespassing onto private property. We had crimes being committed. We saw women and children being trafficked, people dying, and crimes continued to be perpetuated as people were allowed to come into the country unvetted and unstopped.
Every time I hear about what went down at the border, I cringe. It's disgusting, but thankfully President Trump's got it under control. Her praise for border agents transitions to the broader economic consequences that Treasury Secretary Percent is addressing.
While the left tries to tell us many times that it's somehow compassionate to allow that kind of chaos, it isn't. It was dangerous, not just on this side of the border, but on the Mexican side of the border as well. We saw many of those illegal migrants not be able to survive the brutal terrain. They didn't survive the river crossing. Those causes of death, of heat and water, were dangerous, and the left behind so many bodies that in some counties along the border, they had to install migrant morgues just to pick up the dead bodies that were passing away on their way to try to get into the United States. In fact, during the Biden administration and those open border policies, we saw even the UN declare that the United States and Mexico border was the deadliest land route in the world. Countless people were sexually abused and trafficked.
It's disgusting. And here is the moment we've been waiting for. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent destroys a rude and low IQ Representative Maxine Waters.
The ranking member does not understand the definition of generalized inflation versus one-time price increases. I would also note that housing, especially for working Americans, a Wharton study has shown that the mass unfettered immigration, adding 10 to 20 million new people demanding housing, Congresswoman, is what caused a great deal of housing inflation for working Americans. So you and the Biden administration should be ashamed.
Which is also why we are seeing rents. There was just a recent media story on this. Rents are going down partially because of that enforcement. So Mr. Secretary.
Yes, it is supply and demand continues to work.
I've got
Supply and demand. It's very simple. Low IQ Representative Maxine Waters tells the U.S. Treasury Secretary to shut up.
10 and 20 million immigrants.
Can you
look
shut
at the
up?
housing stock of working Americans, and can you maintain some level of dignity?
Gentlelady's time has expired.
Wow. No class, Maxine Waters. We saw President Trump. He gave his full endorsement of Secretary Noem's border performance, saying the border is closed, praising the best crime numbers in 125 years. This is what winning looks like, folks. Democrats created chaos, Trump delivered security, and now they're having meltdowns on live television because their narrative is completely falling apart. The contrast could not be clearer. Trump delivers the most secure border in American history, while Democrats tell cabinet members to shut up during congressional hearings. Secretary Noem thanks our brave border agents for their service, while Maxine Waters throws tantrums when confronted with facts about housing inflation. This is why America voted for change. This is why we're winning again. Do you think that Trump's border security success proves his America First agenda is working? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop for the latest gear from America First. All right. Curio 2369. Oh, yes. Curio with the dad jokes. All right. All right. You paid $9.99 for this. I'll give it to you. Had a mate that just watched the Chernobyl documentary. He actually grew up in Ukraine during the 90s. Was able to count at least 8 historical inaccuracies on one hand. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think that's probably one of your best. Oh, boy. Let's see what's going on with this Operation Gold Rush. What is this here?
Fuck these people.
Oh.
Fuck these people. Every one of these people should be denaturalized. I don't care what paperwork they have. It should be...
Okay. I see where that's going. Nick Fuentes making an appearance. Yeah, Todd, about those... yeah, we'll talk later. The language, I can't open up a show like that. You can't. You just can't do that. Okay. Let's let's go. Hang on, let me get this thing queued up for you, Brian. Brian, you see I'm chasing right behind you on the cuts. Did you see that? Did you see that? You'll see. All right. $14.6 billion, that's what foreign criminals just stole from American healthcare. Operation Gold Rush exposed the largest medical fraud in U.S. history. And guess what? Most of these parasites are operating from overseas, sucking America dry while our own citizens can't afford basic medical care. The names tell you everything you need to know about who's really behind this massive theft. Well, it's just not just about your money. It's about your healthcare costs, your insurance premiums, and why American families go bankrupt from medical bills while foreign scammers get rich off our system. These criminals set up fake medical equipment companies, billed Medicare for equipment that was never delivered, and funneled billions overseas. Every dollar they stole came from you, the taxpayers who fund Medicare. Meanwhile, your grandmother rationing her medications because she can't afford them. This is economic warfare. And we're losing because we've been too weak to fight back. The fact that most defendants are overseas proves our borders and our systems are completely compromised. And speaking of being prepared for economic warfare, if you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you have built may be smaller than you realize. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? See, many investors in their 40s and 50s have no exposure to precious metals. Their savings are tied to markets, government policy, and paper assets with very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to right around the corner, protecting what you have built becomes just as important as growing it. That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. They help investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolios. No pressure, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. Visit nextnewsgold.com. Again, that's nextnewsgold.com. Or call that number on the screen. See if you qualify for this 3-ounce American Virtues Independence Silver Round. But here's what's even more infuriating. We're going to tell you the names. I can't even pronounce them. Nakamanatulev, Jakolev, Kronas, Turiskin. Now, these aren't your traditional American names, folks. These are foreign operatives who figured out how to game our system from thousands of miles away. They're laughing at us while they drain our Medicare system dry. And the guy they caught in Brooklyn, he's probably just the fall guy for the massive international criminal network. Operation Gold Rush. Most of the 324 fraudsters who stole $14.6 billion from the federal government. You guys don't believe anything, but the dark stuff here is just scratching the surface. The big multi-agency investigation, Operation Gold Rush, targeting Medicare fraud, had an interesting list of characters charged. 12 of the 19 defendants have been arrested and are in custody either in the U.S. or abroad, awaiting extradition. Now, I know this is small. I'll make it larger for you so you can see it. But here's some of the names. I'll just scroll through them. And of course, you see the companies or various entities that they represented. Yeah, look at the names. Just look up at the screen real quick. I'm not even going to try to pronounce these. Maybe that one, Kevin. That's probably about it. Kevin got busted. Kevin from G&I Ortho Supply. Yeah. Okay. And let's see. Kevin was from Kevin was from Brooklyn. Let's throw Kevin under the bus. Everyone else, Estonia, Russia, Eastern Europe, Estonia, Russia, Estonia, Eastern Europe. That's just the partial list, 12 of the 19. We're now getting facts about the arrests and extraditions, but this fraud scheme goes way deeper than Medicare. Gitmo awaits largest healthcare fraud in U.S. history. Operation Gold Rush exposes $14.6 billion medical scam. 324 people charged. Listen to this.
Morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Gagliotti, and I'm the head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division. Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system. We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs. In a takedown this large, I can't possibly describe all of the work that went into dismantling each scheme, but there are 4 key points that bear emphasizing. First, let me be clear about what these healthcare fraud schemes mean for every hardworking American family. These criminals didn't just steal someone else's money. They stole from you. Every fraudulent claim, every fake billing, every kickback scheme represents money taken directly from the pockets of American taxpayers who fund these essential programs through their hard work and sacrifice. And when criminals defraud these programs, they're not just committing theft. They're driving up our national deficit and threatening the long-term viability of healthcare for seniors, disabled Americans, and our most vulnerable citizens. This enforcement action involves the seizure of cash, as well as luxury vehicles and properties, returning real money to American taxpayers and to our government healthcare programs. Second, we are seeing a disturbing trend of transnational criminal organizations engaging in increasingly sophisticated and complex criminal schemes that defraud the American healthcare system. As part of this takedown, we've identified and charged defendants operating from Russia, Eastern Europe, Pakistan, and other foreign countries. These individuals have infiltrated our healthcare system to steal American taxpayer dollars. As just one example, we dismantled a scheme involving a sophisticated operation run from Russia and Eastern Europe that strategically bought dozens of medical supply companies in the United States and submitted more than $10 billion in fraudulent healthcare claims to Medicare. To make matters worse, these perpetrators used the stolen identities of more than 1 million Americans spanning all 50 states to perpetrate this scheme and submit these false claims. But I'm pleased to report that federal agents intercepted and arrested key members of that organization at U.S. airports and the U.S.-Mexico border, cutting off their intended escape routes. The days of transnational criminal organizations using the American healthcare programs as their personal piggy bank are over. Third, this takedown resulted in criminal charges against 74 defendants, including medical professionals who fueled America's deadly opioid crisis for personal profit. These are not isolated instances of poor judgment. These are calculated schemes designed to exploit Americans struggling with addiction while enriching the very people who were duty-bound to help them heal. We charged pill mill operators who prescribed unnecessary opioids. We dismantled networks of corrupt pharmacies that existed solely to distribute drugs to addicts and dealers, feeding the addiction crisis that has devastated so many American communities. This is not healthcare. It is a staggering breach of trust. And under my leadership, the criminal division will prosecute these criminals as aggressively as we would any drug dealer, because that's exactly what they are. Fourth, many of the defendants charged as part of this takedown specifically targeted our most vulnerable citizens, elderly Americans in nursing homes, individuals with disabilities, those battling serious illnesses, and more. For example, our prosecutors charged 7 defendants, including 5 medical professionals, in connection with approximately $1 billion in fraudulent claims to Medicare and other healthcare benefit programs for performing medically unnecessary skin grafts on dying patients as they were seeking to spend their final days with dignity and peace. That conduct is exactly as callous and disturbing as it sounds. Patients and their families trusted these providers with their lives. Instead of receiving care, they became victims of elaborate criminal schemes.
Yeah, that's just part of it. The scope's staggering, but while feds chase healthcare fraud, there's a whole other recovery program trying to help the victims. Secretary of Veteran Affairs on how President Trump's Great American Recovery Initiative will help veterans in addiction recovery.
Benefit from the coordination aspect of it. VA, we have been actively involved in all aspects of recovery and rehabilitation, especially from the addiction perspective for our veterans for many years. It's something we have specialized in and continue to work on. And we have a lot of different treatments from in-house to also using partners and outside of the VA as well. So what this will do, though, is help us get more with the state, local, and then federal together so that we're not sure that we're missing any, that none fall through the cracks, especially from a veteran perspective, because of all that they've done and how they served us. We have, these things that are out there for them that they may not know about. So this better coordination of care is going to be really good.
Speaking of systematic failures, here's a perfect example of how insurance companies are literally killing people while fraudsters get rich. American social worker calling the health insurance company that denied a $539 inhaler, and a 22-year-old died after choosing to pay his rent instead. The doctor prescribed the inhaler, but the insurance company wanted him to fail a bunch of pointless conservative treatments beforehand.
You denied a $539 inhaler. A 22-year-old had to choose rent, and as a result, he's dead. This is Aaron from Social Work. I'm calling about case number 774-589. Yeah, this is a 22-year-old. He was denied the inhaler. Yep. Well, I'm calling to let you know that he's not going to need that anymore. He made the choice that he was going to pay his rent, like most people, and unfortunately, he didn't make it. He died. He had an asthmatic attack because he didn't have the inhaler. He didn't have the inhaler because you denied it, because you were proposing step therapy. You wanted him to fail a couple other more conservative treatments, and that gamble on him failed for him. Yeah, he could have paid out of pocket $539. That was his rent. How would you expect that he was going to make that? Don't say step therapy. You told a 22-year-old to keep struggling until their lungs proved that they deserved help. That's what you said. Look, I'm not calling to argue or fight this with you. I am calling so that someone has to read this transcript back and that it's part of a record.
God bless him. Aaron, the social worker. Disgusting. That's the human cost. But let's see how California's governor is responding to fraud allegations in his own backyard. Gavin Newsom admits there's massive fraud in California, but says he's been after it for years and years before Dr. Oz was even on the scene.
Might have well be living in Oz when he went down attacking the Armenian community just a few days ago.
Wow.
A business that's down now 30%. Poor guy, small businessman, running a bakery because he decided to do a little TikTok video or something.
Yeah, there's a big difference between running a bakery, Gavin, and running a front medical operation. Fleecing Medicaid. There's a big difference. Oh, the baker's business is down? Well, I can assure you he's probably got enough flour to make his cakes and bread. The reason his business is down is because all the fraudsters are fleeing the country, Gavin. Dr. Oz attacked the Armenian community. What a sick bastard this guy is.
Connected to the mob around hospice. Well, hospice, we've been after that for years and years before Oz was even on the scene. 2021, we did a moratorium on new hospice program. 280 we shuttered. We've been after this for years and years and years. We want an open hand, not a closed fist. We absolutely are here to be a partner to go after waste, fraud, and abuse. I started something called ODI, Office Digital Innovation. I did not, my mistake, do it
with a chainsaw.
He's like, we've been going after it for years and years before Oz ever showed up. Yeah, how'd that work out for you, buddy? I guess it didn't work out too well because Oz had to show up. Right?
Had I done that, you would know about it. We just began the Office of Digital Innovation, and we started to begin a process of reforming our procurement and our strategies on technology across the board, but also on the issues of waste, fraud, and abuse. By the way, ODI was a partnership with the Health and Human Service to create the new EBD card, which again is leading the nation. I'm humbled in this perspective. No one's denying these issues, but let's also not deny this is purely political.
Purely political, my ass. Yeah. Good luck in 2028. Newsom's playing defense on healthcare fraud, but he's got even bigger infrastructure scandals brewing. See, Gavin Newsom, all of his skeletons are coming out of the closet. All right? It all started, of course, when the fraud in Minneapolis was exposed, and everyone started putting a magnifying glass on every single state in the country. And, of course, California's got all the alarm bells ringing at once. Oh, what is this? Gavin Newsom says he's getting started on California high-speed rail. The same project he said he was starting back in 2010. Are you serious? Are you freaking serious?
Central Valley and Wasco, right near Shafter, and we just made an announcement of our progress here on the high-speed rail system. We're now in the process of starting to lay track, 119-mile first phase, fully funded because of the investments we'll make through the Cap and Invest program through 2045. 1,700 people every single day, union jobs, go to work on this project. 58 large-scale structures have been complete, 29 others underway, 99% of the environmental work done. All of the hard work behind us, now we're going to see the fruits of that. We're going to start seeing precisely what you see here. Real tracks, real progress.
I love when they use the union guys as puppets. Oh, yeah. The union boss is like, go out there. You got to do a photo op with the governor. He's struggling with that rail project. Dr. Oz isn't just talking about rail boondoggles. He's drilling down in the specific medical fraud that's killing patients. Jillian Michaels. Dr. Oz exposes alleged fraud in California's hospice industry and its impact on patients, highlighting how loopholes and mismanagement allow exploitation to continue unchecked. Oz urges reforms to safeguard vulnerable individuals and restore trust in the system. But remember, guys.
You were just in Los Angeles.
Remember, guys.
Right? And
hang
you
on,
called parts
hang on,
of it
Jillian.
the
Hang on.
episode.
Remember, Gavin Newsom's been at this for years.
Center of healthcare fraud. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty of this,
let's get
what
into
kind of fraud are you talking about, and what is the scope?
Yeah, what is it?
So let's talk about the kind of fraud, because it's particularly alarming that we're seeing hospices, which again are designed for people who are terminally ill and are going to die within 6 months. We see home health care. These are services provided to people who need desperate support in their homes. So they're trusting someone to come in there and provide these services. We see fraud in home and community-based services. These are the kinds of things that your family would do for you normally, but for whatever reason, your family is not around. So driving you to a doctor's appointment, getting you home after hospitalization and taking care of you and bathing you and bringing the groceries up for you, do the shopping, all the kinds of things, again, that your family would do. But since there's no licensed professional involved in that arena, there's a lot of fraud possible, because I don't have a doctor's license. I don't have some of the classic things you have to tell if you had a hernia operation, where I've got a lot of different ways of figuring out that it actually happened. So that's the kind of things we're talking about. To put some numbers on these, there's been a 7-fold increase in hospice services in California. I mean, Jillian, unless there's 7 times more people dying in California than a few years ago, there's a problem here. We have home health care building in Southern California, in LA County in particular, that represents 9% of all of the billing in America, like the entire country. Wow. That's 5 times more than you'd expect. So again, just the numbers themselves reveal deep fraud. And the problem that I'm forced to tackle is, how did it become so systemic? endemic. It's all over the place. When I was talking to whistleblowers and doctors who still were doing these sort of suspect practices and patients who'd been harmed, I kept hearing horror stories where it's sort of commonplace now in Southern California to pay a doctor to get their patient into your hospice facility, to buy beneficiary numbers. So you go to people on Social Security and you actually buy their numbers. There's a whole market for this. You can buy hospices for a couple $100,000. I'll tell you, this is a true story. I was talking to this guy who owns 5 different hospices, which, by the way, in itself is a question mark of like, why do you own 5? I can just own 1 and do it right. They buy 5 because if you keep the number of patients in each hospice small, you don't have to report to the federal government. Anyway, he's building a massive house, Jillian, a beautiful house apparently, that he's telling me about with all these ill-gotten gains.
They figured it out. Gavin Newsom couldn't, though. The sounding the alarm that investigators are already digging into what they're finding. Here's more.
California is already paying back $1.6 billion that they previously charged to the federal government for health care services given to illegal immigrants. But they have a much bigger fraud problem that hurts American citizens. So I've instructed Governor Newsom to produce within the next 3 weeks a comprehensive program integrity action plan to address major fraud in their health care system. I'm going to give you 3 examples of embarrassing fraud that Governor Newsom has been seemingly tolerating for years. First, California shares the problems that we are seeing in Minnesota with in-home supportive services. What are these? They include personal care like bathing or grooming, household tasks, cleaning and cooking, shopping, transportation. Now, these are tasks that your family could do for you, but having the government pay has generated some significant cash for unethical people. California spending for these services increased from $8 to $28 billion over the past decade. Why should the federal taxpayer spend 250% more money on California, which is already an affluent state? And this program is still growing by double digits annually. Second, in 2024 alone, spending for home health care in California increased 21%, representing the largest growth rate for any major health category nationwide. The number of home health agencies in California almost doubled between 2019 and 24. LA County alone is accounting for $1.4 billion, representing almost 9% of total fee-for-service home health spending for the entire country, though it just has 2% of the national enrollment. That's 5 times more than expected LA Home Health. I don't get it. They're taking home money that other agencies nationwide could use, so fewer Americans can get access to these vital services. LA County's corrupt practices are hurting innocent seniors outside of Southern California. Finally, LA County should be ashamed of the 2022 California State Auditor Report, showing that their number of hospice agencies increased by 1,500% since 2010. Yes, you heard that right, 1,500%. That exceeds the 40% increase in the senior population during that same period. How can you defend a 7-fold increase in hospice, especially since so many of these charlatans report 100% survival for supposedly terminally ill patients? I'm hearing horror stories from seniors duped by these fraudsters because California is not stopping these criminals. Governor Newsom, the clock is ticking on the deadline for your comprehensive program integrity action plan. Start saving American lives instead of enabling criminals.
Oh, yes. How's that, Newsom? How do you like them apples? The investigation is just getting started, but the numbers coming out are mind-blowing. Nick Shirley, he's back on the scene, says he's already uncovered tons of fraud in California. Let's go, Nick.
Hey everybody, we're here in the beautiful state of California. A lot of fraud's taking place here in the state of California, so that may be why I'm here. Lots of fraud. You got homelessness fraud, you got NGO fraud, voter fraud. You got some weird train that hasn't been built in a long time and billions of dollars gone there, so there's plenty of fraud to be investigating here inside the state of California.
Uh-oh. You should be very nervous when Nick Shirley shows up in your state. The healthcare fraud numbers are insane. But wait until you hear how the homeless crisis connects to the whole scam. The fraud being exposed in California is insane. 18% of the whole country's home healthcare billing is coming out of Los Angeles County. One doctor billed the government $120 million in a single year, claiming to oversee 1,900 patients.
Billed the government $120 million in a single year, claiming to oversee 1,900 patients. With almost 2,000 hospice agencies, LA County has more than 36 states combined, and 30 times more than either Florida or New York.
18% of the whole country's home health care billing is coming out of Los Angeles County. How is that possible?
And take a look at this map, a cluster of 287 hospice providers in a 2-mile radius, some in strip malls, unmarked buildings, even a wrecking yard and vacant lot.
All of it is just paperwork. I could fill that out in Kazakhstan if I want and get a hospice license waiting for me.
That's how bad it is. You can fill out the paperwork in Kazakhstan. From healthcare fraud to housing fraud, it's all part of the same corrupt system, and here's the ultimate example. Benny Johnson has a whistleblower in California who says Democrats are using homeless shelters to house illegal aliens.
To California, the homeless capital of America, nearly 200,000 homeless people reside in the Golden State.
It's way worse than Minnesota. This was bought with taxpayer dollars.
Obvious fraud. What the hell is going on?
Mayor Bass needs Skid Row for her to get federal money, but the reality is we could fix this if we want to.
I can't believe it. I can't believe that never occurred to me.
Welcome to California.
We just had a whistleblower from inside of the homeless industrial complex. So you believe homeless shelters are being used by illegal aliens?
So they're rallying protesters to come and surround us.
This is what LA looks like everywhere. Not just this street, every underpass, every ditch, every overpass, every single intersection looks just like this. You have been lied to. Gavin Newsom, the governor of this state, says that homelessness is down, that he's fixed homelessness, and he's setting records to make the state better. This is a lie. Here's a police officer who is trying desperately to engage with these homeless drug users in their filthy hovels that seem like they've been here for years. This is a choice by the leadership of California to allow this to happen in your neighborhoods. The politicians are handcuffing the police officers, not allowing them to enforce the law. They're choosing this because people have businesses here. Look, people live here. Why would they allow this? Why are those officers helpless? Because of Gavin Newsom and the Democrats in California. And in this video, we're going to unpack all of it. We're going to prove why the Democrats want to continue the homeless industrial complex. The billions of dollars spent in this state, $24 billion spent on homelessness. It's $170,000 per homeless person spent in this state. Look at that. That's a guy's house right there. You live right there. You're moving because you can't take all the homeless.
Yeah.
Your children live here.
Yeah, it's not part for the street.
Oh, of course that it's not safe. Look at that barbed wire. You're living in a war zone. It's all about trafficking in human misery. So that's what we are going to be investigating in this video. The homeless industrial complex that feeds the Democrat Party and their donors in this state, and why they never want to solve any problem like that. Join us for this ride. It's going to be a wild one. Here we go.
Wow. Unreal. California spent $15 billion over 16 years building a train to nowhere. Now the project is estimated to cost $135 billion. President Trump has pulled federal funding for this boondoggle. The non-existent train is arguably Gavin Newsom's most epic failure. The real kicker, all these foreign criminals steal $14 billion from American healthcare. Our own people are dying because they can't afford treatment. This is what happens when you don't secure your borders, don't vet who gets access to your systems, and don't put America first. We're literally funding our own destruction and calling it compassion. This healthcare fraud proves that America's systems are under attack by foreign criminals who view us as easy marks. They set up shop overseas, beyond our reach, and systematically drain billions from programs meant to help American seniors. Every fraudulent claim drives up costs for legitimate patients. Every stolen dollar is a dollar that can't help actual Americans in need. This is why we need leaders who will secure our systems, prosecute these criminals to the fullest extent, and put American patients before foreign profiteers. We can't keep being the world's piggy bank while our own people suffer. So do you think that it's time to stop letting foreign criminals get rich off American healthcare? Check out the Next News merch shop while you think about that one. Salty Nationalist coming in hot with a 20 spot. Thank you, Salty Nationalist. Make asylums great again, he says. Now, Brian, did you not bring up the shop card because you made me a button? Is that why? I'm just curious. Okay, I'm just wasn't sure if you were defaulting somehow or some way. Distractions. You got to cut down on those distractions, Brian. I mean, running to the kitchen to get more Doritos is not how you produce a show. Okay? Let's just make that very clear. We need some more super chats for Brian and his Dorito fix. I don't know. Do you eat Doritos, Brian? I don't know. But sometimes you do, sometimes. Okay. Well, I know when you're here, you love that lasagna. Oh, yes, you do. What is it, lasagna and mozzarella sticks? I think that's what you like. Yeah. Everyone loves mozzarella sticks, right? I do. But not these days. I am cutting. I am dropping weight. I'm down like 50 pounds. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Meat. Protein. That's what we're talking about. Protein. Okay, where are we at? Let me check the super chats totals. Where we are tonight. Let's see if we can. Oh, I click this button over here. And then this button over. Oh, $104.99. What do you know? We hit the goal tonight. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. Beautiful. Thank you, Salty. You must have been keeping track. He's probably 20 shy. Bringing us up to par. Well, tonight we've witnessed the complete unraveling of the corrupt establishment that's been strangling America for decades. The Clintons, who once operated with complete impunity, are now facing congressional testimony about their Epstein connections because their globalist protection networks have collapsed. For 30 years, they dodged every bullet, but Alex Jones, he's reporting they've essentially surrendered. The old order that shielded them is finished, and even they know it. Meanwhile, Trump is pushing the SAVE Act harder than ever, calling out Detroit, Philadelphia, and Atlanta for their corrupt election practices. The hypocrisy here is absolutely breathtaking. We showed you Obama cheerfully displaying his ID in 2012, cracking jokes about his photo. Biden showed his ID during the 2022 midterms without complaint. But somehow requiring basic identification has magically become Jim Crow 2.0. But that's only when Trump demands it. The double standard exposes everything you need to know about Democrat election integrity. And the media tried to create panic over J.D. Vance's New World Order comments, but context matters. When globalists use those words, they mean open borders, endless wars, and American power flowing to international bureaucrats. When Trump uses the same phrase, he's describing an America first world where we're strong, we're respected, and putting our people first. Same words, completely opposite meanings. The establishment media will deliberately twist Trump's America First agenda to sound sinister. But that's why we call it the MAGA world order. And that's why you're going to call it the MAGA world order. And our border security victories continue delivering historic results. Secretary Bessent destroyed Maxine Waters, explaining how adding 20 million illegal immigrants demanding housing directly caused housing inflation for working Americans. Waters actually told a cabinet secretary to shut up, showing exactly the dignity we expect from her. Secretary Noem reports the most secure border in American history. So quiet that agents wonder if their equipment's working. The contrast with Biden's chaos couldn't be more clear. An Operation Gold Rush exposed the largest healthcare fraud in American history. $14.6 billion stolen through Medicare scams involving characters like Imam Nakahumatalov and Zhagoslav, and many operating from Russia and Eastern Europe. 12 of the 19 primary defendants are thankfully in custody. This reveals how deeply foreign criminals infiltrated American healthcare systems to steal taxpayer money. These stories connect to something bigger. The corrupt systems bleeding America dry are finally collapsing, just like FDR's Supreme Court packing scheme in 1937. Today's establishment power grabs are being exposed and rejected by the American people. Roosevelt's brazen attempt to manipulate our highest court for political gain ultimately failed when Congress recognized the dangerous precedent. Today's Democrats are making the same mistakes, and Americans are rejecting their corruption just as decisively. So before you go, head on over to our merch shop, hit the shelf below this video, and thank you to everyone for your super chats tonight. You make the show possible. Trump's America First movement isn't just winning elections, it's dismantling the entire corrupt establishment that sold out our country. I'm Gary Franchi. This has been The Raw Feed. Stay free.